Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So today we are discussing an interesting yet very practical topic: whether food should be provided in the cabs and buses that carry passengers from the Art of Living Ashram gate to the airport, which is about a 2 hour ride. With us is an Art of Living expert and an officer from the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. So in the Art of Living, wisdom and knowledge are central, but Gurudev has also remarked that true wisdom is incomplete if people remain hungry. What are your thoughts on this in the context of ashram transport services? Jai Gurudev, you are absolutely right. Gurudev often reminds us that wisdom is not separate from day to day life. Food is prana, it sustains not just the body but the mind and the spirit. In the ashram, we chant Annadata Sukhi Bhava before meals to honor the food and those who prepared it. Now, when we extend ashram services to transport cabs and buses to the airport, we must ask, is the journey joyful only because it is comfortable or because it is nourishing too? So, just as in Satsang, Gurudev humorously asked if food would also be served in the cabs, the underlying point was clear: comfort without nourishment feels incomplete. So, in the Vedic Dharma Sansthan, food or Annadanam is considered the highest form of charity. How do you see its relevance in such modern services like airport transfers? Indeed, our scriptures declare Annadanam Param Danam. The gift of food is the greatest of all gifts. In our rituals and parayans, after pujas and homas, prasad and food distribution are mandatory. Even in yagyas, feeding participants is part of the ritual completion. If we carry this principle forward, then in a 2 hour journey, especially for international travelers who may have flights for 10 to 15 hours, after that, providing sattvic snacks, fruits, or even bottled water becomes a continuation of our dharmic responsibility. It is seva in motion. That cab or bus becomes an extension of the ashram hospitality. Now, some people might argue that since the ride is only 2 hours, food is not essential. What would you say to that? 2 hours may not sound long, but in the ashram, people often leave early in the morning or late at night, skipping meals to catch flights. Many are elderly, many are first time visitors, and some are on strict sattvic diets. For them, even a small fruit packet, a few nuts, or a light snack can make the difference between a comfortable journey and a tiring one. Moreover, Gurudev's vision has always been holistic, not just providing transport, but ensuring care and attention in every detail. Just like Batman in the movie asked, if the car came in black, perfection lies in the finishing touches. So, can you connect this with the Bhojanam Vidhi mantras and the traditional approach to eating? Yes, in Bhojanam Vidhi, we chant mantras acknowledging food as Brahman. Anna Brahma, food is sacred, not merely a utility. When a traveler eats with awareness, chanting mentally, or listening to mantras, even a banana or a handful of prasad turns into divine nourishment. Now imagine offering this on a bus journey along with peace and silence. It transforms a mundane ride into a moving satsang. We carry dharma not just in temples but wherever people gather. If food is offered in ashram transport, it aligns with the spirit of Bhojanam Vidhi, sharing food as a sacred prasad. Now, practically speaking, how feasible is it to provide food in cabs and buses? And would this create a sense of perfection in ashram services? Very feasible, actually. It does not mean elaborate meals. Even simple pre-packed sattvic kits, say a fruit, a bottle of water, and some nuts can be provided. The cost is minimal compared to the joy and comfort it brings. Travelers feel cared for, not just transported. Gurudev often emphasizes service is not about grand gestures, it is about attention to detail. In this sense, adding food to the ride perfects the seva. Just as teachers who were asked to list their seva ideas felt disappointed when no food was arranged, we must remember food is not a luxury, it is dignity and care. Exactly, perfection is never ending, but we must strive for it. The ashram has already perfected wisdom, meditation, and seva. Adding food to transport services is a natural extension. It would make the service not only useful but also memorable, creating a standard of hospitality that is rooted in Vedic tradition yet modern in execution. Finally, would you both agree that providing food in cabs and buses to the airport should be considered as part of ashram seva? Absolutely, yes. It is seva, hospitality, and care all in one. I agree. Anna seva should allow and follow us everywhere, whether in ashram halls, kitchens, satsangs, or buses. Feeding people is the highest dharma. Thank you for this discussion. Beautifully shows that even a simple 2 hour ride can become an opportunity for seva, nourishment, and living wisdom. Food is not just about the stomach, it is about love, care, and connection. Now, in spiritual organizations like the Art of Living, there is sometimes a gap between idealism and practical arrangements. How does food provision and travel bridge this gap? This is a very real issue when we attend satsangs, courses, or even seva meetings. Our focus is on wisdom, meditation, and seva. But the human body also needs rest and nourishment. If this practical dimension is ignored, people may feel disappointed even if they don't voice it. Providing food during travel bridges that gap beautifully. It says, we care not only for your soul and mind, but also for your body. This holistic care prevents fatigue, ensures participants reach the airport refreshed, and creates a lasting impression. In many ways, this is walking the talk. Gurudev always reminds us wisdom is not just theory, it is expressed in small acts of love and attention. Food provision during travel becomes one such act, simple yet profound. You mentioned Annadanam earlier. Could you explain why scriptures elevate food donation above all other donations? The reason is very clear. Without food, life itself cannot continue. Clothing and shelter are secondary. First comes food. Scriptures declare Annad bhavanti bhutani, from food beings are born, but by food they live, into food they merge. In yagyas, rituals end with purna ahuti, feeding of participants and the needy. Even a king was considered dharmic not by his wealth, but by how many mouths he fed. Now, if we bring this wisdom into modern services like airport transfers, we are honoring the same principle. When we feed even one traveler on the road, it is as meritorious as feeding a yagya participant. That is why it is called Paramdanam. A 2 hour ride with the Annadanam becomes an extension of Dharma into daily life. What about the environment and sustainability angle? Shouldn't we avoid waste while offering food on such journeys? That's an excellent point. Gurudev always emphasizes sustainability. In fact, one of the key teachings is care for nature. Food in cabs and buses does not need to be heavy or wasteful. Instead of plastic or disposable packaging, we can use eco-friendly packets, banana leaves, cloth bags, or recyclable paper. Snacks can be light, dry, and preservable. Fruits, nuts, millet-based items. The aim is nourishment, not extravagance. Moreover, travelers usually welcome such thoughtful sattvic snacks and rarely waste them. In fact, people often carry them along to eat on the flight. Thus, food provision can be aligned with the sustainability and zero waste. This way, seva becomes both nourishing and environmentally responsible. Now, in traditional rituals, food is blessed before being served. Should that tradition be maintained even in travel packs? Absolutely, that is what makes the difference between food and prasad. When we prepare travel food packs in the ashram kitchen, we can chant Bhojanam Vidhi mantras or even simple Om Namah Shivaya while cooking and packing. The food that carries vibrations of peace, even if it is just an apple or a handful of dry fruits, the sanctity is preserved. Travelers can be encouraged to chant mentally before consuming. Imagine someone in the middle of a bus ride, quietly whispering Om before eating. Suddenly, the journey is no longer ordinary, it becomes a moving yagya. That is how we carry dharma into daily life, even in something as modern as cab services. Now, some critics may say, why not let people buy their own food? Why should the ashram arrange it? How do you respond? That's a fair question. The difference lies in the spirit of seva. People can buy food, yes, but what we offer is not just food, it is care, thoughtfulness, and sattvic nourishment. At airports, food is often processed, oily, or expensive. By providing ashram prepared sattvic snacks, we ensure purity, affordability, and love. Gurudev says seva is doing something for others before they ask for it. If we wait until someone feels hungry or spends extra money, the seva is lost. Offering food unasked is seva in its truest form. This is not about convenience, it is about love expressed in action. Now, can you give scriptural examples of feeding travelers? Many in the Mahabharata, when guests or travelers arrived at a house, they were first offered water and food before any conversation. In Ramayana, when Rishi Bharadwaj hosted Bharata, he offered a grand feast before discussing Ramsa's exile. In Vedic culture, Atiti Devo Bhava, the guest is divine, was not limited to homes. Even roadside chol trees or rest houses provided free food and water for travelers. Kings maintained anna chatras or public kitchens on highways. So, providing food in modern buses and cabs is not new. It is a revival of our ancient hospitality traditions. From a participant's point of view, how does food provision affect their overall ashram experience? Immensely. A participant who leaves the ashram after a blissful course carries that impression forward. But if on the way to the airport they feel tired or hungry, the last memory before boarding the flight is discomfort. Now imagine if during the ride they receive a small packet of prasad with a smile. It adds sweetness to their journey. They leave not only with wisdom but also with the warmth of being cared for till the very end. Many participants later say, I felt Gurudev's love in every small thing. That is the impact of such thoughtful gestures. Now, you mentioned earlier that food is a prana. How does it connect with meditation and awareness during travel? Food and breath are both prana carriers. When we eat with awareness, digestion improves, mind settles, and prana flows smoothly. During travel, people often get restless, thinking of flights, check-in, timings. A small act of eating sattvic food with mindfulness can anchor them in the present moment. In fact, food can become meditation, chewing slowly, observing taste, feeling gratitude. That itself is a form of awareness practice. When provided in ashram buses, it can be guided. Let us eat this prasad silently with gratitude. Thus, the ride becomes not just travel but a meditative extension of ashram life. Now, how do sattvic food packs during travel contribute to health and well being compared to commercial snacks? Sattvic food is designed to be light, nourishing, and easy on the body. Most commercial snacks available at airports or roadside shops are processed, filled with the preservatives, excess sugar, or deep fried oils. These may give temporary satisfaction but leave the body heavy, restless, or dehydrated. On the other hand, simple sattvic packs like fruits, sprouts, nuts, or light poha are prana richer. They sustain energy without disturbing digestion. For a traveler who has just completed deep kriya or meditation, maintaining purity in food is crucial. Otherwise, the mind becomes restless again. Gurudev always emphasizes what you eat affects your mind. By offering sattvic travel food, we extend the ashram's health culture right until the very person who boards the plane. It becomes not just food but a health protection on the ego. Now, in the story you heard, teachers were disappointed when seva meetings had no food. How do you interpret this spiritually? It is natural. Even sevaks have bodies. They may not complain, but hunger creates disappointment. Yet, out of devotion, they still continued seva and even volunteered in the kitchen to ensure food. This is both inspiring and instructive. Spiritually, it shows two things. First, seva spirit when needs are unmet. True sevaks don't quit but find ways to serve. Second, it highlights the dharmic duty of organizers. No seva activity should be arranged without considering food. In scriptures, whenever yagya or satsang was organized, arrangements for annadan were part of the planning. This situation was a reminder wisdom must walk hand in hand with a practical care. Seva flourishes when the sevaks are nourished. Now, Gurudev once humorously asked if ashram cabs would also serve food. How do you interpret the deeper message behind this humor? Gurudev's humor is always layered with wisdom. On the surface, it feels like a joke, but the essence is profound. Don't settle for mechanical service. Add love, care, and nourishment. Just like Batman in the movie said, does it come in black? Perfection lies in attention to subtle details. Gurudev's remark about food in cabs was not only a humorous observation, but a gentle reminder to the organizers travel is not complete without nourishment. Humor makes the message memorable without hurting anyone. That is Gurudev's way pointing to perfection through lightness. And truly, once you think of it, why not add food? It transforms transport from your logistics into seva. Now, how does this idea compare with airlines or trains serving food? Very interesting question. Airlines and premium trains like Shatabdi or Rajdhani provide meals as part of hospitality. Why? Because travel without food feels incomplete. The traveler feels cared for when food is included. The ashram service, however, can be even higher in quality because here food is not just commercial. It is sattvic, prasad, and dharmic. Airlines may serve for business. The ashram serves for seva. If airlines can make journeys joyful with meals, why should the ashram not go one step further when with the sanctified sattvic offerings? It elevates the entire experience beyond mere convenience to divine hospitality. Now, some might worry about logistics, extra work, cost, or hygiene. How do you address these concerns? Logistics are valid concerns but not insurmountable. The ashram kitchen already prepares thousands of meals daily for residents, guests, and volunteers. Preparing small travel friendly packs is a natural extension. Hygiene is already of the highest standard. Ashram kitchens follow sattva, cleanliness, and mantra chanting. Costs can be covered by seva donations. Many participants will happily contribute if they know their seva funds provide food to fellow travelers. In fact, a pre booking model can be introduced when booking a cab or a bus. The passenger can choose a sattvic snack add on. Those who don't need it can opt out. That this way, logistics become smooth, costs are covered, and seva expands. Now, could this also become a form of seva for participants themselves? Absolutely, just like volunteers do seva in the kitchen, participants or teachers could sponsor or distribute travel food packs as a part of seva. Some may cook, some may pack, others may sponsor the cost. Imagine a participant before leaving ashram spending an hour helping pack travel kits for fellow travelers. That itself is seva, or someone abroad could donate funds for travel packs. Seva opportunities multiply. Feeding travelers is meritorious in scriptures. It is said feeding even one traveler equals feeding the divine. Thus, travel food seva can become a regular service supported by devotees worldwide. Now, how does this idea reflect the art of living principle of making life a celebration? Life is not celebrated only in grand satsangs or festivals, it is celebrated in small details. A 2 hour cab ride can either be ordinary or delightful. If music, silence, and food are thoughtfully included, it becomes a celebration. Gurudev often says, life is sacred, celebrated. Offering food turns necessity into festivity. Even something as simple as receiving prasad while traveling makes people smile, bond, and feel gratitude. This is the art of living approach, transforming even mundane moments into celebration through awareness, love, and seva. Now, can you link this with the dharmic concepts of yatra and feeding on journeys? In dharmic culture, every journey or yatra was seen as sacred. Pilgrims traveling to Kashi, Rameshwaram, or Kedarnath were always offered food along the way. Communities built dharmshalas where food and water were freely available. Feeding travelers was not considered optional, it was mandatory dharma. In fact, kings would sponsor food stalls along highways during festival seasons. Providing food during ashram to airport travel is a continuation of this sacred practice. Today, the yatra may be a flight abroad, but the principle is the same. The traveler must not go hungry on the path. Now, practically, what kind of food would be ideal for a 2 hour journey? Simple, light, and easy to digest fruits like apples or bananas, small packets of dry fruits, roasted chana, or millet-based snacks are perfect. A small bottle of water or buttermilk can be added. Avoid heavy, oily, or messy items. Packaging should be eco-friendly and travel-friendly. These packs need not be elaborate, just enough to nourish. Sometimes even a single banana with a prayer carries more energy than a five-course meal. The focus should be on sattvic, prana-rich food, not indulgence. Now, how can this service be made sustainable in the long run? Sustainability comes from three things: planning, seva, and community support. Planning ensures only required quantities are prepared. Seva brings manpower, volunteers to cook, pack, and distribute. Community support provides funds. If all three combine, the service sustains easily. In fact, people will look forward to contributing. Also, partnerships can be explored. Local farmers can provide fruits, devotees can donate rains. This way, the service strengthens community bonds and supports local economy while nourishing travelers. Finally, what larger message does providing food in cabs and buses carry for the world? It shows that spirituality is not separate from practicality. Caring for people in small ways is the highest expression of wisdom, and it reaffirms the eternal dharmic truth: Annadanam Paramdanam. Wherever there is travel, there should be nourishment. Thank you both. What began as a discussion on cab services has become profound reflection on seva, dharma, and perfection. Truly, as Gurudev says, perfection lies in making life a celebration, one meal, one ride, one seva at a time. Jai Gurudev.